Okay, let's look at some more complicated buttons. And these buttons, the play buttons, actually relate to the tile buttons in the program panel. The buttons here are not numbered sequentially. The first one is button 3, the second one is button 8, button 9, and so forth. And they get down here, it's 14, then it goes to 2, 5, 6, and then 15. Sorry, it was historical. Things were added and the numbering got out of control. But anyway, they do number in a certain order. These rows that they refer to here, in the actual thing when it's running, you'll see the content. You'll see the file to be played here. These are actually numbered correctly. The first one is called begin plus 0. The next one is begin plus 1, begin plus 2, and so forth down through begin plus 11. There's 12 altogether. And begin points to the location in the program list that is current. And so what you see on the page is starting at the top one, you'll see the contents for the next 12 items in the program list. All right, so here are the buttons. The packing is normal. Each one of these will be slightly different in packing because they're located in different places. They use minor button label in gtk.css in order to paint them, and I've been using minor button quite a lot. Then they get signals. They get one basic signal here, which is clicked. All right. There's also another one down here, scroll event. Scroll event we'll talk about separately. It's not relevant for clicking. All right. So clicked. They all have a clicked button. As you can say, depending upon what their name is, what their number is, you get a clicked button. All the signal handlers are essentially the same. The only difference is the row number. So when I did it, wisely or not, I did it as a macro. It was a larger macro, but it got smaller when things got pulled out. Originally, it was probably a much better idea than it is now. But anyway, instead of writing 12 separate on units, all of which are effectively identical, and if I needed to modify something, I'd have to make 12 modifications, I made it as a macro. And that's what you're looking here. And the code here is play-buttons.c. It's in that common directory. Okay, here is the macro. And how do macros work? Well, it's defined, and then there's the name of the macro. The name of the macro is edit panel play, with underscores in between. And it's got two parameters, button number and file name. The button number is going to be the number of the button, 3, 8, 4, or whatever the numbers are going down the side. The file name is going to be information pointing to the actual row in the program list. It'll be begin plus 0, begin plus 1, so forth and so on. So that's the actual reference to the thing to be played. And down here is where the macro gets invoked. It's invoked 12 times. And you see I'm invoking it for button 3, 9, 11, 13, 2, 6, and so forth and so on. Secondarily to it is the content pointer, the pointer to the name of the file in the program list, to the entry in the program list that contains the name of the file, and it's begin plus 0. Begin is where you currently are. Begin plus 0 plus begin plus 1, begin plus 2, and so forth. So that is the actual content associated with the button. So if you click the button, that's the content that gets played. It comes in here as two numbers. The first one, these are macro values here, macro parameter values. Button number, that's going to be 3, 8, 9, 10, so forth. And the second one here is going to be a character string. It'll be sp arrow begin plus 0 or whatever. That's an actual character string. They're both character strings, actually, but one of them is purely a number. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to say on button and then insert a number clicked. This is how you do it in macro speak. In order to concatenate after button and prior to underscore clicked, I have to use something like this. I didn't invent it, don't blame me. Pound sign, space, button number, space, pound, pound. Double pound is how you do concatenations. One of the ways you do concatenations. It finds tricky other ways too. Okay, so that will so what the actual program will see when the macro is expanded will be on button 3 clicked or on button 8 clicked. All right. So it's going to generate, for each of those edit panel invocations down the bottom, it's going to generate an instance of this macro. and the macro will of course have code in it, and the code will be properly numbered and so forth. Then there's things in here that it does. We're not getting into how the code actually does stuff, but you can see over here file name. So because file name is surrounded by special characters, an open paren, a closed paren, the concatenation symbol wasn't necessary. It simply substitutes the contents of file name in here. So contents of file name will be substituted in there as is. I don't believe I used file name with the concatenation anywhere in here. No. As long as there's a special character as a terminator or a delimiter, you don't have to use the concatenation. This was a special case because I was inserting a macro value into a string. Okay, this is not. This is putting it in parentheses. Not the same thing. And you can see the reference to begin and begin +1 and so forth. It's complicated how the code works, but anyway, that's how it does it. Notice the backslashes. The macro is one giant long line. The backslash is a continuation. If you modify this, don't lose the backslash. Backslash is necessary to connect everything together. The other thing you want to do is you don't want to use double slash as the start of a comment. You notice I've used /* and */, because if you use a double slash, it'll eat the backslash and it won't see the continuation. So comments have to be like that inside of macros. Otherwise, it's normal code. Whatever the code does, well, it tells it to play. When you click it, it moves it to the top and it plays it. That's what actually happens. Anyway, that's what it looks like, and there is the invocation. All right, and that creates 12 separate functions. 12 separate functions on button so-and-so clicked. Now, it also means that if I need to change all 12, I only have to change it in one place. I only have to modify the macro and then recompile, and I get 12 brand new copies. That helps up to a point. Okay, so that's how we do the basic play buttons, and the play buttons are in the edit panel. Now, the next thing is the play buttons are connected to the program buttons because they do the same thing. The program buttons you can see over here are also, there's 12 of them, at least the upper panel, there's 12 of them, the upper set of tiles. And clicking one of these is the same as clicking one of those, but we'll do that in a separate video.